Bull. Today is Friday, March 5th, and you don't have to make it a great day because today is already great. You are listening and watching the Daily Devo. I am your host, Losco, and I'm so excited that you've chosen to spend 5 minutes with me as we explore word and wisdom for the leader in you. This week, we are talking about who you are and who you were created to be. And when we get clarity on who that is, we begin to do the things that we were created to do. It's important for us to really get this picture of clarity clear, because if we don't, we'll end up spending time, effort, and resources trying to do things that we weren't called to do in order to be someone that we were not created to be. And Jesus illustrates this picture for us when he answers by not answering a question that was asked of him by John the Baptist. You see, John the Baptist was the one that was preparing the way for Jesus. He was the one telling people that the Messiah is coming, and Jesus was that Messiah. So John the Baptist is thrown in prison. And he's asking this question because he's dealing with his own issues. So he needs just a little bit more clarity. He needs just a little bit more faith. He needs that to be built up. Now he's hearing that Jesus is doing all of these miracles, healing all of these people. But Jesus was clear on who he was called to be. And he was not called to be John the Baptist. You see, John the Baptist was someone that people were gravitating towards. He had a huge following. He was the person that people followed before people followed Jesus. Now, why do I say that Jesus had to be clear on the fact that he was not John the Baptist? Because if he had been caught up in trying to be like John the Baptist, then the passage that we're reading this week wouldn't exist, because he would be doing what John the Baptist was doing. The reason why it wouldn't exist is because Jesus wouldn't have been healing the people that he was healing. He wouldn't have been opening the eyes of the blind that he opened. He wouldn't have been opening the ears of the deaf that he opened. But Jesus was clear. And Jesus tells John just that. When the disciples of John go to ask Jesus this question, "Are you the one, or should we look for another?" Jesus responds by saying, "Go back and tell John what you've seen and what you've heard." And yesterday we talked about the fact that social progress was a thing that Jesus was highly concerned about. So that's something that we should also be concerned about. But today, I want to talk about the last part of this interaction, where Jesus says, after he says that the lepers are cleansed, he says, "The deaf hear, the dead are raised, and the good news is proclaimed to the poor." You see, the first part, the blind receiving sight, the lame walking, and those who have leprosy are cleansed, are ailments that help deal with social progress. So by healing them, he healed something that allowed them to progress socially. But then this last part, the deaf hearing, the dead are raised, and the good news is proclaimed to the poor. These literal ailments that Jesus is healing are figurative ones that we should be able to heal. What ears are hearing things because of you that they couldn't hear before? What healing is taking place because you are now opening them up to spiritual progress? You see, it's not just enough to have social progress, but we need spiritual progress. The dead are raised. What dead things in others are coming to life because they encountered you? What what spiritual necessities are people hearing because of you? News are people hearing because of you, that opens their faith, that opens their belief and someone greater than them. These are things that Jesus was highly concerned about. And if we are to be more like Jesus, then these are things that we should also be concerned about. If we are leaders, it's important for us to help lead people into a better life. And that's what Jesus is telling the disciples of John. Go back and tell John that I'm already saving before I hit the cross. I don't have time to deal with that, but he was already saving them because salvation was not just for eternal, but for right now. Jesus is highly concerned with social progress. He's highly concerned with spiritual progress. And if we are to be more like Jesus, then we should be too. It's time for us to help others and help lead them into a better life. Are you the one, or should we look for another? Thank you for spending this week with me on the Daily Devo. If you have not already, before Monday hits, please share the Daily Devo with someone, and I will see you guys next week. Have a good day.